The right to vote has been stolen from qualified voters.
In 2004, the democratic process was thwarted.
The 2004 presidential election in Ohio was riddled with unnecessary problems.
Some machines malfunctioned, causing votes to be counted more than once, or not at all.
Based upon an inordinate number of allegations suggesting gross voting rights violations and misconduct, I join with my colleagues in objecting to counting the state of Ohio's electoral votes.
As in 2000, the votes of many who wanted to vote were not, in fact, counted.
This last Friday night, I arranged to meet Senator Kerry at a fundraiser to give him a copy of my book. He told me he now thinks the election was stolen.
The wife of John Kerry said she has lingering doubts about the legitimacy of the election. Her theory goes like this. Two brothers, she calls hard right Republicans, own 80% of the voting machines in the U.S. Therefore, it would be easy to hack into the mother machines that control the electronic voting.
There were numerous irregularities in Ohio, including large percentages of rejections of provisional balloting, problems with voting machines.
As we look at our election system, I think it's fair to say that there are many legitimate questions about its accuracy, about its integrity.
There are still legitimate concerns over the integrity of our elections.
The question, obviously, is how many instances were not caught that we don't know about? Number one, we've seen a lot of what I'll call honest glitches where it just didn't work right, but also that these machines are hackable. A dishonest employee of the vendor, or a dishonest employee of a local board of elections, or simply someone who knows electronics and has a computer at home, could hack into these machines and put in a secret instruction to disregard every 20th Democratic vote or add 10% to the Kerry or to the Bush vote or whatever, and you might not ever know it.
I agree with tens of millions of Americans who are very worried that when they cast the ballot on an electronic voting machine, that there is no paper trail to record that vote.
The numerous irregularities that occurred with the electronic voting machines in Ohio on November the 2nd of last year point to an unresolved national crisis.
We cannot declare that the election of November 2nd, 2004 was free and clear and transparent and real. There must be independent testing of the voting machines used in Ohio.
I'm not confident that the election in Ohio was fairly decided. We know that there was substantial voter suppression, and the machines were not reliable.
The members of Congress who have brought this challenge are speaking up for their aggrieved constituents, many of whom may have been disenfranchised in this process.
Treating today's electoral vote count in Congress as a meaningless ritual would be an insult to our democracy unless we registered our own protest against the obviously flawed voting process that took place in so many of our states.
Voters who wish to cast a vote for president or vice president can't approach the polls with certainty that their vote will be counted.
One of the most significant problems in Ohio and in many other states was the lack of measures to ensure the integrity of electronic voting machines.
In 2004, they caused Democratic voters in Ohio to wait for 8 hours before they could cast their ballot. They turned the Department of Civil Rights and the Justice Department into the voter suppression division with voter ID laws, voter purging, voter caging, voter intimidation. There aren't going to be any more election stealings.
And despite the final tally and the inauguration and the situation we find ourselves in, I do have one very affirmative statement to make. We won.
Without voter suppression, Stacey Abrams would be the governor of Georgia. Andrew Gillum is the governor of Florida.
I acknowledge that former Secretary of State Brian Kemp will be certified as the victor in the 2018 gubernatorial election. This is not a speech of concession.
If she'd had a fair election, she already would have won.
You refused to concede and say that you lost. Do you stand by that decision today?
Absolutely. The election was not fair. The process was not fair.
If Stacey Abrams doesn't win in Georgia, they stole it. It's clear. It's clear.
I think that Stacey Abrams' election is being stolen from her.
You notably did not concede.
I did not.
Okay, you acknowledged that he won, but you did not concede.
Correct.
5 months later, do you still feel like your opponent won through voter suppression.
Yes. Georgia voters did not have their votes counted. They were not allowed to cast votes. They had their votes discarded.
She would be the governor of Georgia today had the governor of Georgia not disenfranchised 1.4 million Georgia voters before the election. That's what happened to Stacey Abrams. They took the votes away.
Was the election in Georgia statewide a free and fair election?
It was not a free and fair election.
Reminder, she wrote, Brian Kemp stole the gubernatorial election from Georgians and Stacey Abrams.
And it was not fair to those who filled out absentee ballots. And depending on the county you sent it to, it either was counted or not counted, assuming you received it in time. Brian Kemp oversaw for 8 years the systematic and systemic dismantling of our democracy, and that means there could not be free and fair elections in Georgia.
It certainly gave the appearance of unfairness, and I think it was unfairness. Stacey ran a great campaign. She probably won.
But will I say that this election was not tainted, was not a disinvestment and a disenfranchisement of thousands of voters? I will not say that.
Candidates, both black and white, lost their races because they have been deprived of the votes they otherwise would have gotten. And the clearest example is from next door in Georgia. Stacey Abrams should be governor, leading that state right now.
So you don't feel that you lost fair and square?
I'm not saying it's going to be legit. It's the increase in the prospect of being illegitimate is a direct proportion of us not being able to get these reforms passed.
Me the hell alone. Oh, guess we're live.
I think we're alive. Oh.
Okay.
Well, welcome to Innovision FM. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's kind of weird because I'm not hearing myself in the headphones, so I'm just assuming that we're
Because your microphone is on your phone.
Oh, okay. So that's how you get...
It's muted in the computer.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's what's going on. Yeah. Well, who knows? This thing is happening. Hey, well, since it's the election night, and also there's going to be a outdoor movie at the Denver Art Complex, and we're trying to figure out is it a cartoon or is it a non-cartoon movie, right? So we may or may not go to this 6:30 movie, but we shall see. We shall see. But anyway, so we're talking about the election. Like I said, 9 o'clock this morning, it was at 16% of Coloradans had submitted their ballots. And okay, you know that, Lauren Boebert is in CD1, and Mike Lynch, who was in CD1, who was part of the minority chair or something like that. So if she wins, he automatically gets kicked out. And if you guys remember, when she first got in, they had this video of her at this play getting really frisky with her Democratic boyfriend, which I still think that was a setup, because the video focused in, out of all the people who might have been doing whatever they were doing, the video focused in on her and this guy.
Just trying to discredit her.
Yeah. So she got past that. Then her son, which, he started acting stupid and robbing with his friends, robbing cars. So then she says, okay, I'm not going to bail you out of this. You just got to face the music. Then, I'm not sure if this one came second or this one came before the son. Her and her husband got into a fight in the bar, in a restaurant, and she punched him in the nose. Yeah. So she's had an interesting ride, but she rose to the top. And even though people said, well, how can you just stay in CD3? and she said something about she wanted to get a fresh start with her sons because it was just too much stuff going on in her old neighborhood. So she wanted to move them over to another one. And then, you know, she's a grandmother, and so she's taking care of her 18-year-old son's baby. I'm not sure why. You know, I can't figure that out. I don't. Okay, this is old school talking now. This is going to sound strange to some of you guys. My mother had 8 kids. Not once did she, her rule was like, if you have a baby, and she told all the boys this, I don't know if she told my sister, if you have a baby, don't bring that baby home for me to babysit. Don't just, if you want to go out to a movie, you wait until that baby's old enough where, you know, take it to the other grandparents. And some people say, oh, what a mean grandma. But she says, you know, she raised all of her kids and didn't depend on anybody to babysit her. My dad worked. And if we wanted to go, to a movie, we all piled into a car and went to a drive-in. So, you know, if people don't know what a drive-in is, go look at some of those movies about. It's a movie. What was the movie with Richard Cunningham in it? And it showed like the 50s in the car, you know, being
Happy
in
Days.
Well, that was Happy Days too, but but Happy Days was based off of a movie that he was in.
Really?
But I forgot the name of the movie. But anyway, so
I'm unmuted this whole time with my dog going absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Sorry
well, hey,
about
he
that,
just wants some attention.
Something.
So anyway,
Hang on,
so that was her rule, you know, if you know, and so Lauren Boebert, she's, you know, she was doing an interview and she had the grandbaby there, feeding the grandbaby and stuff like that. And I said, wow, you know, it's, you know, just different rules in different houses, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, so some grandparents, they want to do that. And then I told my daughter, I said, I'm not interested in talking to the kids until they're able to talk. And then I'm not into the goo goo gaga and all that kind of goo and all that kind of stuff.
You know, they do have those baby translators. They're working on them. They're working on them pretty soon.
Yeah. So anyway, it was just interesting that she was doing this radio interview, and she had the grandbaby in one arm and feeding the bottle, and how do you even? Oh no, you have a headset. So I'm gonna. How does she do all that stuff? But yeah, the modernization of. Remember when you had to cradle the phone in your shoulder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still got a
Man.
crank in my neck because of that.
Yeah. So she rose to the top. So we'll see if Flores, who said she's like a hardcore conservative. Then Lynch, he's sort of like a moderate. I'm gonna think there's really none other than those Lauren, Lynch, and the other lady I mentioned, her name, Flores, and it seemed like the party is saying like you got to be MAGA, you got to be Make America Great Again, but then the rhinos and the conservatives in Denver are saying, no, we don't want you to be MAGA. We want you to do what we say. We want you to vote for who we want to vote for, even though we have lost many races with you following our advice. And the MAGA says, we've been there, done that. We're not doing it again. Lauren Boebert was not nominated by Trump. What was that called? When you say that's my endorse. Yeah, endorse. So it seemed like, you know, that endorsement, you know, set her up to be the head. So that's I think it's Arapahoe County or just CD4. We just call it CD4, right? Then in Aurora, which I was listening to this other show, in 2020, I guess these two policemen it was this kid that he had something. He was a little mentally challenged, but he was a musician. He would play his violin, the cats, but he would have whatever this thing is called when you get very cold and you have to put on jackets and stuff like that. But he went out and he was wearing like a ski mask to go to the store to get him some candy. So somebody saw him and said, he looks kind of strange. Could you have the police come out? And all it was that, he just was all the time cold. So he wears these ski masks to keep his face warm, which is kind of interesting. So anyway, the cops gave him a chokehold. Wow. Paramedics came in and gave him chamomile, and it ended up killing him.
Chamomile?
Yeah, it was some kind of drug called chamomile that they give you for whatever reason.
It's a common.
Yeah, the common.
I think you're talking about ketamine there, brother.
Ketamine, yeah, okay. Ketamine, something like that. Anyway, they gave him too much. He's only like a 5'5" kid, and these cops were like 6 foot, and I don't know why they didn't figure out how they could, because he was only talking about like he was, and in the webcam he said he was talking about how he he loved people and he liked to get along with everybody and stuff like that. So I'm not even sure why a chokehold was even needed. Then later on, they showed the cops reenacting the scene and laughing about
it. Interesting.
So now in that race, the district attorney, who's really like not down with chokeholding people just for the fun of it, and doing all that, because I think one cop got off, the ambulance attendants, I think they went to jail. They got sentenced for that deal. So they're voting for the new district attorney in that area where they take these things seriously. Okay, so I heard this on Brother Jeff show, which they're gonna break into some watermelon. He was talking about, hey, you see that watermelon over there? We're gonna break that open, and I'm gonna go get some other stuff. And this other said, I'm gonna bring the Pepsi. I can imagine watermelon and Pepsi.
Yeah, not my favorite combo.
Watermelon tequila.
Hey, there we go. Watermelon tequila. Yes, good. Yes, river party.
Anyway, maybe Pepsi and popcorn. Maybe Sprite and popcorn. Maybe chocolate and popcorn. But it was just a weird combination. Who knows? I may turn in later in the night and give a recap of because he was going to the store to get some stuff, and then I guess he was going to drop off his ballot, go to the store, get some stuff, and then she was going to come over there because I guess she was representing a informed voter, right? So yeah, so
in the morning we'll make waffles.
Yeah. Oh, man. And so he was inviting people over there, but I'm thinking like myself as a Republican, and he's a card carrying NAACP and Democrat. I know he's been pretty civil when he's had other Republicans in there, but sometimes the women get crazy. So I don't know, man. Sometimes these sisters they want to argue, get in your face about something you can just chill. Oh, so that's a little bit of an insight of what's happening. I guess my race is kind of boring because nobody's opposing me in the Republican ring, and my only opponent is on the Democrat side. Oh, and then before we get to Janet Griswold and her stuff, whatever, and if during one of our videos you could see the rotation of what the Democrats did in 2016. But I in Denver News, they gave this guy 400 years for trafficking.
Okay.
I've never heard of I mean, they said that was the most years. I mean, you're not getting me. The guy's only 40 years old, so he's not gonna, he's not going to get close to that. But I'm kind of thinking, okay, the hypocrisy of that. Here, Biden and the Democrats are letting all these people in, and they're doing just as much trafficking as this one guy is doing. So why not make an example of him, but not make an example of the cartel?
Well, they aren't getting, he wasn't getting paid by them.
Yeah, because he was just taking these people that were already strung out and say, well, you're giving away for free. Let me organize you. Let me make you, get you, into the Teamster here of the what was that? What was that? What were those films called? Superfly. Yeah, he was a day's version of Superfly. And I guess he had a lot of women on his roster. And some, they were all strung out. Most of these women that he was doing this to. So he was just saying, hey, he was just saying, hey, you can make money off of that. So, and I met a guy that was in lockup with the guy. I got to tell you this. I didn't know this. While you're in, they said that, okay, if they have commissary, a lot of people know. If you've never been there, I've never been there, but this is what I know. You have commissary where you can get, soup and candy bars and chips. And They said to these guys, if you take the jab, we'll give you extra.
Absolutely.
Yes. Right? Yes. I mean, think about that. And so the guy said he got injured by the jab.
Right.
Because he's like, oh, it sounds like a good idea to me.
Absolutely.
And it's like, oh man, he said, it was a lot of people that got injured by the jab. And and then he said it was some other people, and I forgot what country he said it was. They were giving them $100 to take the jab, and so the person would get $100, spin it, then come back and get another jab, get another $100.
Oh, that's awesome. That's just, I don't even know what to say about that. I mean,
this guy was just, I may try to get him on the show, man, because he was giving me an earful. And I know a lot of the stuff that he was saying was true because I know parts and pieces of that. And he said, I've heard this happen before. So you're in a domestic kind of thing, right? And the woman says, I can hit you and I can call the police and tell them that you hit me. And who are they going to believe? Right? And so she did that. This was like way back when we was young. And the police believed him and took her away.
Oh, wow. That's something that doesn't happen every day.
Yeah, she was kind of put it to the test. And they said, okay, put it to the test.
Looks like she fought the law and the law won.
Yeah. So I'm going to invite this guy up because and he worked in the administration of Hancock too. So he was telling me a lot of, he said he was trying to get Hickenlooper's attention, and Hickenlooper looked down at him like he was a rodent on the ground, and wouldn't even talk to him. And I said, interesting. Yeah, because Hickenlooper hired a lot of illegals to work in his restaurant, and one illegal ended up how do I put this?
We'll just say there was some sort of neat little scandal that transpired.
Yes. And it was from one of these illegals that Hickenlooper hired in his restaurant. But because he got into government, he was able to make that disappear.
Trying to make it go away. Yeah.
Yes. Like Hancock, and when he was flirting with that police lady, she said, hey, I'm not there, I'm not in this. And then he made that go away. And then when he was at what was it called? Sugars, and his name was on the list. And the police and him and a bunch of other judges that were at the sugar party made that go away. But Peter Boros kept talking about it. So it's just, but he was saying like he was on the inside and he experienced a lot of the stuff. And he says now the guy, he's firing all of Hickenlooper's guys, and Pena's and Hickenlooper guys, and he's getting in his own guys and tossing out Michael Hancock's guys. And that's the way it's supposed to be. And I hope Trump does the same thing. Kick out all these other guys and put in your guy.
Well, I think the title that you picked for today's show is really important to look at. This is a closer look as to why people are apathetic with their wanting to get out and vote. Now, I would submit that the apathy comes from what does it matter? I would submit that when we have our FBI coming out just this morning and basically coming clean and saying, we had to cover this up this way and we had to do it that way and do X, Y, Z. And, so people look at that, whatever side you're on and say, is it really going to change? Well, I would submit that, yeah, it'll change as soon as we vote in the right people, or as soon as we ourselves get to a place where we get involved at the local, state, or federal level in whatever capacity we can, So, I'm going to preach that all the way to the end. The system can only be reformed if we reform it. And, perhaps we're at a place where we as Republicans and as Democrats can start to open some dialogue, especially given there are Democrats getting into a little bit of hot water right and left when it comes to our election and the integrity thereof. You don't see too many Republicans, but the ones you do see, well, they there's a reason why we have a very small majority in the House right now. Let's just put that way.
Apathy.
Apathy, yeah. And it was and I was trying to get some people on the show who actually did some of the voter judges and people that were in there counting the ballots and stuff like that. This one lady, she said that she had signed it up and said nobody got in touch with her. And she's a firebrand kind of person. I can't see anything getting past her. This one lady, because she's like the person that would grab the bull by the horn and say, "Okay, somebody's going down."
I think that is the neat thing is people's eyes are indeed open to this type of stuff. So even if they do try to, stack the votes with illegal folks being able to vote in our elections, it's just got to be too big to rig. That's all there is.
Also, dark money is coming in the town. This has got a weird inside more stuff. Wait, people know this dark money coming. Several $1 million. This one guy has $17,000. Some guys get like $1 million to do these ads. And this one guy, I guess he was in California. He was a guy that he took a copy machine and then he put on the front of it the voting machine name, and then he shot it with a rifle. No, I think he shot it with an AK-40 AK. Oh, so they were trying to say that he's too conservative for Colorado.
Too conservative. It's interesting.
Yeah, and Doug. I think his name is Doug. I don't remember exactly the name, but look at shooting copy machine with the AK. I'm sure it'll come up. Oh, and Art Gilletta, he did a fantastic. He was at the Pride Parade. He did did you get a chance to see that?
I was
It's,
going
it's
to
not,
ask you about that because I did not get a chance to see that.
man, we that editing on that video, he grabbed videos from things that these liberal talk shows hosts who are sort of like turning from being so liberal to saying, well, maybe something is going on. And he just had a bunch of stuff like, it says, okay, if you could have drag queens, why do you have to dress up kids to do that and do explicit things? He says, we're not down with that. And there's a weird part of, oh, I'm sorry. My thing started talking to me. I'm going to figure out, why are you talking to me? But he did such a fantastic video. So if we get a chance, I'll get that out and we'll take it apart. Well, we had him on our show, right? Archuleta.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that he's well, I'm gonna look at the percentage of votes that he got in this compared to the votes that DeGette got. All right. And like I have a feeling that all of it's going to come down to November because then everybody's going to turn out.
Well, I think that's a very valid point is everybody forgets about all these local and state elections in favor of what happens sometimes in the 2-year elections. But oftentimes, the presidential elections are what people pay the biggest attention to. Thursday is going to be huge. It's interesting that CNN is trying to impose their own sort of gag order, as it were,
yeah. It's going to be interesting.
by telling conservative media, hey, you can't use pieces and parts of our stuff if we don't approve of it.
So you mean my thing about airing it? They're going to try to stifle that, and probably stifle it with some other like influencers.
I'm not sure how they're going to enforce what do they call that? Fair use type act, freedom of information, or no, it's fair use, intellectual property, that kind of stuff. I mean, this is, it is interesting because I guess the Attorney General of New Jersey. No, is that not right?
Not Alvin Bragg. Somebody
No,
else.
the Attorney General of New Jersey is suing New York and saying that they are depriving New Jerseyans of their ability to have freedom of speech, with Trump being gagged and whatnot in New York, the ability to campaign is depriving these New Jerseyans of their ability to hear what Trump has to say. So the argument can be made that freedom of speech is not only Trump's right to speak, but it's our right to hear what he has to say as well. So it'd be interesting to see how this all plays out because you got the trial going on today to find out whether Jack Smith is even valid as special counsel. Probably that's decided by now. I mean, we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, and let me add one more thing. About this guy that was sentenced to 400 years, he should have did what Epstein did, and get judges, lawyers, politicians on that list. But even though it didn't end up that well with Epstein, at least he could have held them back for who knows how long. Maybe because I think Epstein was 60 when they took him out, right?
Sure.
He was close. Yeah. So he probably could have, added 20 more years to his life.
You guys see that Julian Assange has made a plea deal?
Yes. He is now free. What's next for him? Only time will tell what happens. I mean, just because he is free and gets to go hang out with his family does not mean he's out of the woods, I suppose, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Depends on what the deal was that you made, I suppose.
I'd like to find out some real details as to conditions of his freedom. Last I had heard, they were going to try to extradite him here to the U.S. And some folks were opposing that, obviously. And all of a sudden he's free. I'm like, hey, that's great.
Yeah, that'll work.
You know, that's
Hey,
great.
I just thought about something. If you have the charisma that you can traffic people, why not just turn them into a bunch of singers and singers and go on the road and entertain people and charge money?
Oh, like Warner Brothers?
Yeah, it could be.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah, it could be the crack tour.
The
Crack tour.
I think they did that with the Spice Girls, didn't they? Oh.
I was thinking, like, it's a lot of ways you can spin that where you don't have to end up going to jail for 400 years, man. Like,
Crack tour.
shit.
Well, if you don't get a strike for this one, Johnny, they're really gonna let out by me.
We shall see. We're just
Like,
having
share,
fun with it.
subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. We got Intervision FM. Hey, folks, we got a concert coming up on Saturday, and we need some muscle to help us with the lifting and the moving and the shaking. Yeah.
Yeah. And this husband and wife, they run the venue, so they said that we will have police presence, so nobody's going to get sucker punched or any kind of crazy stuff there. And they have porta potties, so we don't have to go across the street to where the homeless go to the bathroom in this other place. So they have. I called. I said, okay, what do you have? I want to know what you have covered here. You know, because I said I got some of my blind friends coming down here, and I don't want the homeless, coming in and harassing us and stuff. So they got it covered.
So since we're being politically incorrect, and since I'm blind, I guess I can make this joke. If we get robbed and we're blind, do we then get robbed sighted?
Hey, why not? Shoot, we can make up our words. If they can make up their words, we can make up our words.
All right.
Well, look at it this way, they won't have to look at any of the vulgar posters.
Put them in the lineup. Did you see? I only touched them. Oh man, that'd be a problem, man. All right. So anyway, we're gonna call it a night. We're gonna perhaps go to this movie. We'll see what happens.
God's on the throne, folks. Don't forget to vote for Jesus. He voted for us and died on the cross, gave himself, for us, for all of our sins, past, present, future. Real easy to give your life to him. Just give it to him. Ask him to move on in. He's on the throne. He ultimately sets up our government and our governance. But it is up to us to be his hands and his feet. While we're waiting for his return, we are commanded to occupy, and that's what we're going to do.
All right. We'll see you guys. Well, we may or may not see tomorrow because there's something that's going on at the same time at 5 o'clock, but I don't know if it's 5 o'clock Eastern or 5 o'clock Mountain Time. Yeah. You have to look at the email I sent you because it said 5 o'clock. Though. If it's 5 o'clock Eastern time, then that means it comes in at 3, and we can go ahead and do a show. But I gotta look at it a little bit more. It's on X, so it sounded kind of cool because I want to put in my 2 cents worth.
I'm gonna have to get an X account rolling.
No, that mean it's 5 o'clock your time, hey Joe. So,
that'd be somewhere.
All right. See you guys, if not tomorrow, next week.
All right.
God bless.
Take care.
Alt F4, leave meeting button. Alt F4, Zoom meeting. You're currently muted. Alt F4, leave meeting button. Alt F4. Zoom meeting. Mute. Currently on all day 4. Leave meeting button.